Thanks
Yeah.
again for joining me. Um, and I think maybe we should start with a little bit of introduction. So I'm Lawrence Yang. I'm a family doctor here in Surrey, and I'm really interested in really improving the systems and structures and the teams within which we work in primary care, just to make sure that primary care is a little bit more sustainable, that it's better, that it's provides increased quality experiences to patients, and that more Canadians, more of our community members can actually access that care. And that's actually the context within which I met you. You were working in an organization at that time that has that similar mandate. Go ahead, introduce yourself to.
Yeah. I'm Charles Lee. I'm a leadership and team coach and also an organization development and change consultant. And going back to what you shared, Lawrence, yes, I met you when I was working with the division and helping physicians kind of step into systems change, system leadership, and team-based care.
Yeah, and what I remember distinctly one event where we had like almost like it felt like 100 stakeholders in the room, and you were able to help really design kind of structures for us to kind of voluntarily participate in, that really helped to accelerate our participation and innovation and the collection of ideas within a really short amount of time. And I think so many different ideas came out of that meeting, ranging from like physician health topics, physician wellness, burnout, support, business, workflows, mentorship. I remember there were so many outcomes from that meeting. A lot of that came from, I think, some of your experience within this area of engagement, and also some engineering background, because I understand that you have an engineering background as well. I'm gonna shut
Yeah, sure.
So yeah, how does an engineering background maybe contribute to some of your skill set in this?
Yeah, I think my life there as an engineer, it really helped with wanting to innovate and implement practical solutions to really large scale and complex problems.
Mm-hmm.
So in engineering, there was technical problems or challenges, if you will. And now looking at a big system like healthcare and primary care, it's a complex human system where there's a lot of stakeholders.
Mm-hmm. Right. And sometimes my colleagues and I are reticent to acknowledge that we are actually working in complex systems. We all see it as just a lump of a black box without any structure. But then I think if we are into leadership and organizational improvement, that we do have to break it down and kind of categorize things into structures, and then figure out the leverage points within those structures. So I think your skill set is fantastic, and I'm excited to see all the continued change and innovation that you can bring to our system. And speaking of that, that's kind of what we're going to do today. I think I'm getting a free coaching session from you.
Yeah, a little coaching taster.
Okay, so yeah. I'll let you take the lead and let me know how to go.
Yeah. So before we dive into say maybe a 15-minute session, what do you need from me in this space?
I guess I would really like help in providing me a different perspective. Give me a different perspective on the challenge that I'm facing. And I hope to come out of this with just some new ideas. That's it, because I feel sometimes a little bit stuck.
Sounds good. What topic are you bringing to the coaching session?
Well, I think you know a little bit. I am multi-passionate. I'm passionate about many different things. And like many of my colleagues in leadership positions in the health system, we stretch ourselves too thin. And currently, I'm involved in like the wellness committee at my hospital. And then I'm also involved in like the psychological safety, Doctors of BC provincial group. I got the clinic that I'm working at, and I'm moving clinics actually to Newton, saying bye-bye to Wally for a bit. And so that's a big change. It's like moving house, really. And then I'm the head of family practice at Surrey Memorial Hospital. And then I'm trying to do a whole bunch of other things like physician quality improvement, QI teaching stuff. So I've just put myself in so many different places just because I'm passionate about all of it. But I'm not sure if I'm being as effective as I could be. Like, there are some times where I've missed meetings because my schedule is so erratic and complex that I was like, oh my goodness, I was supposed to be at that meeting an hour ago. And then
So Lawrence, what's truly important to you here?
I think what's truly important, I think the reason I'm doing all this is because I feel really privileged. I feel really privileged to have excellent family support, financially to be relatively stable, especially in the context of this pandemic. My income's lower, but I'm still well above a living wage. And so I have so much privilege that I feel like I have to contribute, and I want to contribute in a meaningful, potent way. Like I want to leave a legacy of change, meaning I want, when I'm retired, to say, look at that, look at those young leaders over there. I might have had a small part in inspiring that young leader to do what they've done, or look at my kid over there. I think maybe I did an okay job raising them so that they're being kind, compassionate, effective change agents in our system.
So I'm hearing a greater topic here around your legacy and your impact to the spaces in which you live.
Yeah, I think that is it. I think there is a ubiquitous strive for longevity or not dying, and I think that and the strive for meaning in the work that I do, and I think I align with that. I really want to contribute to the world in a relatively idealistic way, but also in a very practical way. And so trying to combine the ideals with the pragmatic practice and actualization, that really means a lot to me to leave an impact. And so that's why I'm stretching myself and sometimes sacrificing sleep. And sometimes my family members don't understand why I'm so overcommitted.
What's the perspective you're taking right now on your impact and your legacy?
I'm guessing you mean by perspective, like, what is my current assessment of?
Yeah, how are you seeing it?
I feel like I'm just starting. I'm just reaching that point where in my life where I'm like, you know what? I'm okay with having my voice heard. I'm okay with speaking up. And that hasn't always been the case. I think it's only been about 3 or 4 years now that I've been more comfortable with actually expressing my opinions and feeling that my opinions and my lived experience actually count in the system. Prior to that, I actually view my assessment of my experience was as a victim of the system. Like, the structure is already there, and I've got to try to squeeze and fit myself, my personality, my skill set, my team, my family. I got to fit all of that into the confines of the current system. And unfortunately, I wasn't doing really well. I've burnt out, and I've been pretty open about that. Just trying to do the best I could and burning out because I wasn't finding a sense of efficacy. I wasn't finding a sense of, clinical excellence because I didn't know how to use or lead teams really well. So
you mentioned you claimed your voice. And then
Yeah,
claiming that, what are you stepping into?
yeah, you're right. I did claim my voice. So yeah, I think I'm stepping into I think what leadership is. It's where I think as a leader, I not only can see parts of the system a little bit more clearly or schematically or conceptually, but I think I can actually influence how that system performs, how it is designed, how it behaves. So yeah, I'm excited about that, to actually be in that place where I can feel like I'm no longer a victim of the system, but actually an impactful actor in the system. And I wish that all my colleagues could feel that way. And I know that they don't. I know that many of them feel like they're stuck on a treadmill, that if they step off for 1 microsecond, some of my colleagues feel that their patients are going to flop them and die. Like, I know that's a cognitive distortion of sorts, but I think it's a really real feeling for so many of my colleagues.
And you feel their struggles.
Absolutely. I feel their struggles because I've been to the darkness of it. In my burnout, I actually developed autoimmune flares and stuff like that. So I learned a little bit through lived experience about, the combination of genetics and the mind-body connection and the inflammatory responses under prolonged stress. And I didn't really recognize that I had that stress for so long. So going through that experience and coming close to what I would call like a little bit of death in my mind, like I was super inflamed, my fingers were swollen, I had dactylitis. It was a very painful experience, actually. And I think it was a manifestation of my existential pain as a family physician in a system that doesn't really work and had no intentional recent design to it. It was designed maybe 50 years ago and without change, without adaptation to the needs of the community. So I have a lot of empathy, like you said, for my colleagues who are really trapped and suffering and not feeling like they belong, not feeling like they have equity or any autonomy or any meaning or safety in what and where they work.
I have this image of a field where there's soil and, in some parts conditions aren't right for growth. And in others, where I'm seeing you right now, something's growing there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What's it that's growing in you?
Gosh. I was going to make a joke about food babies and stuff, but yeah, so I think the fertile field was always there, but my ability to see it was shrouded. It was veiled by some parts of it was my own ego, my own thinking that if I step off this treadmill, that patient is not going to do well. So I cannot step off the treadmill to take a better perspective on my domain of my clinic, of my community, of my system. So what's growing is a sense of the ability to draw boundaries better. I think that's growing so that I can actually start to say no to certain things. Sometimes saying no to patients, start drawing boundaries of the time that I spend with each patient. That was a huge part of my growing. And then also being able to learn techniques to look at systems as processes and as a complex system of interactive components. I think so. That type of vision is growing. Vision, boundaries, and
yeah. And what is your vision for your work?
Oh gosh, I mean, yeah, I really love for my work to be a really fantastic interdisciplinary team. So I'm excited to see a team, and I don't have this yet, where the medical office assistants and the physicians and the manager of the clinic and myself, that we actually work in concert really well, that we understand each other's roles really clearly, and that patients experience that synergism that comes from a really well-oiled team, that everybody knows their roles really well. And I think this vision would be shared by almost any of my colleagues in primary care. And I haven't really actualized that yet.
And in this vision that you have for yourself, your patients, your colleagues, what's the vision you're holding for yourself and your legacy and your impact?
So, yeah, I guess the purpose of having that vision for my primary care office would be so that I can really effectively deliver what patients would report to be as high quality healthcare experiences, where both their health outcomes and their health experiences are done well, and that we're tracking our expenditure of resources so that we're not being wasteful of the community pot of money that funds our services. I think that would be a subset of that vision and legacy. And then having that done well, hopefully sharing like the mechanisms and the tools. How did we get to that point of a really high functioning team, multidisciplinary team in healthcare, involving allied health and maybe a counselor, maybe a social worker, maybe case managers, maybe behavioral health interventionalists. Like that would be my dream. And then sharing that with the rest of the province and everybody adapting it to their local needs. Or maybe somebody's already doing this and I just haven't been able to access and learn it. So so that's, I think, if I was to have an impact in primary care, where primary care actually gets 1% better, more effective, and patients have 1% better experience across the board, that would be amazing. I would die happy.
So fulfilling.
Yeah.
What value of yours does that fulfill, to have that 1% difference?
That's a good question. When you say value, I jump right away to like a list of values that I'd seen once when I was reading a book given to me by the practice support program under the General Practitioner Services Committee. They gave me at a mentorship celebration, like a community champion mentorship celebration. They gave me Dare to Lead by Dr. Brene Brown. And there was a list of values in there, and I think there were things like family, like responsibility. What other values? There was like trust, compassion. So these are the ones that stuck out to me. So when I say sense of responsibility, I mean that people own the outcomes of whatever they do, and that there's not much, people aren't blaming each other. And I think that value is really important to me within the teams that I work in, because I feel like blaming one person in a complex system is relatively illogical. So compassion is a big part of the values. And for me, compassion means just that sincere desire to reduce the suffering in the environment. And that combined with that desire to actually take action and do something practical and pragmatic to alleviate that suffering. So that the desire to reduce suffering and to actually want to take action around it. I think those two values are some of the most prominent values that I hold and might be guiding some of my work in this legacy. Yeah.
How much are you honoring those values currently, from 1 to 10?
I'm holding them really, really, really tightly. So, and maybe I feel like it's been consistent. I think these values haven't changed. I think I've had these values since being a young child. So I'm like a 9 or 10 on there.
Great. You hold those close.
Mm-hmm.
Tap into those values right now, wherever it is on you or in your world. Just tap into those values.
And when you say tap in, you mean like feel them or?
Yeah.
Sit within compassion or sit within a sense of responsibility.
Yeah. Just go in, go deep, connect with that, the part of you that knows that.
I'm feeling peaceful. I'm feeling like
you're there.
Like I'm there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What's it telling you about the work required of you?
Oh gosh, it tells me that I've got to be courageous, because being responsible for a complex team, a complex system, is a huge thing. saying that whatever happens in my team, in primary care, or in some other level of change leadership, that I have to own that, and owning the responsibility for that, the outcomes at that level. It involves a lot of people's lives and a lot of people's experiences, their daily experiences. So I have to have a lot of courage. I have a lot of courage to continue to speak the truth whenever I see it, and not to potentially sell out. And when I say sell out, I think I'm talking about, shifting my values towards maybe pure monetary gain, or shifting my values towards power hungriness, or shifting my values towards, other things that are less idealistic, less beneficial maybe for the community. So I have to be courageous and really, really be hold on to some really. I think I'll need to ask for help. I'll need to ask for help to make some good decisions going forward, because I can see many, many challenging decisions coming up.
What's an image or metaphor that you hold for your courage in the world?
Oh, man. I grew up Catholic, so there's the image of Jesus Christ, telling his truth and suffering consequences for his truth, being beaten, whipped, and crucified for it. So that's that's one, and that's one I've lived with for a while, and I think that interesting paradigm actually, because I didn't fully comprehend it well, brought me into a little bit of my vulnerabilities to burnout, taking on suffering of others, etc. So what is another image of courage that I need?
What's one that will serve you? You're at choice here.
Yeah. I can only think, and this is a very male and masculine thing, I can think of, and he's an unfortunate character, but Mel Gibson in Braveheart, I don't know, like running into battle, holding a sword. And it's kind of, it feels facetious to bring an image like of a real warrior into this context of healthcare change. It feels weird to do that. It feels a little bit pretentious, but I think I have to have that, because I think the complexities and the politics within health systems change are such that it can be mental warfare. It can be psychological warfare. And that is not something that I have a lot of experience with. And so I'm going to say Braveheart, freedom.
Yeah, that's an image that resonates for you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's valid for you. It's a structure that connects you to your courage.
Mm-hmm.
And when you choose that, when you're saying yes to that courage and yes to being that warrior, what is it you're saying no to?
I'm saying no to selfish action. I'm saying no to siloed thinking. Like, I'm saying no to walling up and saying, let me just get what I can from this system. Let me just bill as much as I can. I don't care if my care quality is shitty. I'm just going to just bill it up, accumulate as much wealth as I can, and then insulate it within my family and not share it with anybody, and focus solely on this type of monetary gain, which is easily in front of me, which is a strong, tempting force that people are offering money for physicians with skills to go into these commercialized, corporatized endeavors, and make $250,000 a year, $300,000 a year, doing advising or something just in that realm, and then letting go of a mission. I think that, I think that's a conundrum. That's a challenge that I'm going to have to navigate. And currently I'm standing pretty straight on the mission, but I can see that that's something really attractive for myself and some of my other colleagues.
With your life's mission, as this fierce warrior in the system for impact, change, and legacy.
Yeah.
Tapping into your values, their compassion, courage.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking back at the topic you brought to this session.
Mm-hmm.
What's coming up for you?
Yeah, so I was saying that I was multi-passionate and that I've kind of divided myself too much. And so I think that if I am to stick with my values and my mission, that I have to really start pruning and cutting off and saying no to particular endeavors that don't serve as much that mission and purpose. So I'm going to have to give it some thought. I'm going to have to evaluate those things. And yeah.
And that's going to require courage of you.
Yeah.
Probably some of the deepest courage you will need to access.
Mm. Yeah, because I have endeavors that are quite tangential and really not related to the purpose. And they take up quite a bit of my mental space and my time. So yeah, it will require a lot of courage because some of them are really fun things. So yeah, it's going to take some courage to say no. Saying no takes a lot of courage sometimes.
Yeah. And you are courageous. I have this image of you as kind of Zeus coming in on a cloud and kind of zapping. That's the impact that I experienced of you, Lawrence.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. I do want some electrical powers. I used to play a video game called Mortal Kombat, and there was a character with a rice patty hat. It's kind of racist, but he would shoot lightning out of his hands. And I'm not sure of his values, but yeah, I know Zeus is a powerful god in Greek mythology, and so I appreciate it.
You're powerful in your own right. So what will you do here?
Well, it sounds like I have to reevaluate all the different commitments that I've made to random people, to all the different people that I've made. I have to write them down and maybe reassess them, maybe make a prioritization list and see what needs to be knocked off the list or at least put on the back burner. I think that's one of my next steps.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And now I have a framework. I can evaluate each endeavor according to my mission and my values, and I guess rank them that way. Mm-hmm. Thanks, Charles. That's helpful.
Yeah. Thank you for that. For your courage.
Mm.
For your courage.
No. Thanks, Charles. So is that an example of what people can expect when maybe if they come across you?
Yeah. It's to the client to bring a topic, a goal for the session. And then me as coach to be here with you to ask those questions, to challenge you, like you say, to open up your perspective and awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that most of my colleagues don't give themselves the space to reflect or to ponder these really, really important questions. Maybe they've never listed out values. Maybe they've never created a mission statement for their careers or their life in general. So
Yeah. And they don't need to do that alone. They can do that working with a coach. They can do that peer-to-peer coaching as well. Right.
I can see that could be really, really impactful. I think it could change people completely, which direction they're heading in, and ideally in the direction that they more intentionally want to go. So much of our lives are like automatons. We're on autopilot, and sometimes autopilot doesn't take you where you want to go.
Yeah, there's a richness to life. There's aspects of it that fulfill us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that, to truly claim that we're each at choice.
Yeah, I think we often feel that we don't have choices, or we have a learned helplessness. Sometimes we learn that we have a learning that I have to do this just because, and we've actually forgotten the reason why we feel we have to. So we just keep heading in that direction. But I think our communities would be better if everybody kind of awakens and sees their paths as multiple branches, and that they don't have to do exactly what they're doing, and that maybe they'll get better results if they shift course and try something different. I think it sounds so easy to say and so obvious, but I think a lot of us are trapped in that patterning, the pattern behavior.
Yeah, there's this pattern of doing. And then within the coaching, we try to bring out the being as well of the person. So it's this dance.
And the being. What do you mean by that? Okay. So
yeah.
It's not. Yeah, go ahead.
So doing are things like meetings, projects, initiatives, doing takes time. And then the being is that as you're living, who is it that you're being? What values are you honoring and living into? Right?
Mm.
What life purpose are you seeing out?
Mm. So kind of like when you told me to kind of sit in my values, I think you'd said that. And that experience of when I was feeling a little bit of peace, that kind of creates a potential ideal place in my mind, in my experience, that hopefully I can actualize into my future and bring that in to my being, my living experience in the future more and more, right?
Right. So as you lead, right, you're being this courageous, compassionate warrior. And those two go hand in hand.
Really cool. I don't think that many people have the chance to be guided that way, to experience that on a regular basis. And yeah, I can see that, especially when I was in a place of really dark burnout a couple of years back, it would probably have been really, really, really helpful to have a coach ask me those questions at that time. I didn't feel like I didn't realize I needed that much help at that point. And I remember feeling like everything I have is just in my silo here. And I cannot access anything outside of my experience, out of my current resources. I just can't. It was like a stuck blinders on me. So I wouldn't even know to ask for help. I didn't even know that coaches existed, like what you're saying, that you do your services. I didn't know that existed. So I really wish I did. And I'm guessing that probably maybe the divisions of family practice or the doctors of BC should really promote this type of coaching service for physicians, because physicians are major leaders, at least potential leaders in their communities, if they step into that leadership role. A lot of them are,
if they have those supports. Right. Yeah. We see coaching in organizations, and there's studies out there that show it helps leaders lead. It contributes to more engagement, to more
and I think
greater system performance.
Seem to
So I want just to check in on like your experience of coaching. How was that for you?
Yeah, it was good. Like prior to this conversation, I had not thought about how to do the pruning. I knew I had to probably do some pruning, but I didn't have a framework to do it. So now that I'm reminded that I can take my values and maybe be more clear about what my mission is, what my heart's desire, what my legacy should be, I can use that as a lens to evaluate my current path and to see what I should not go down and what I should pursue further. It's kind of like I have to recognize that I have limited resources and I need a really good way to allocate resources more logically, more efficiently, and effectively. I don't want to miss any more meetings for sure. So yeah, so it was a good experience, Charles. I appreciate you being there for me to ask those questions and stimulate those really new thoughts. It's almost like you were an extra brains, an accessory prefrontal cortex sitting there for me to assist me to reevaluate what's really important to me. So,
Well, as a coach, we sit in a line of curiosity and also seeing the people we coach as complete, regardless of their context and circumstances. So that was all you.
Hey, man, I rarely see myself as complete, and we always see ourselves as at deficit, as needing help, as somebody come in and just help me with this. That's so for someone to see me as actually complete within myself, that almost, that's very different. I often, like, people in my family sometimes see me as, oh my gosh, this guy needs help. They see me as at great deficit of many things, of organizational skills, great deficit of money management skills, great deficit at time management skills. So for someone else to actually see me as capable, I think that's that's empowering. I think that makes me want to believe that maybe I can do it. Maybe.
Mm-hmm. Remember, I saw you as Zeus.
Yeah, I appreciate that. That's powerful. Some of my colleagues, I have a question about coaching. Some of my colleagues have asked me before, what is the difference between coaching and like psychotherapy? But I mean, I haven't experienced psychotherapy myself. I've read about it. I've tried to dabble in a bit of the cognitive behavioral therapy stuff. So but what, in your perspective, what is the difference?
Yeah, I feel like I can only comment as a coach, having experience with coaching as a coach and also as a client of other coaches. Coaching is very forward focused. It's around goals and working towards those goals. And, clients bring goals of living with greater fulfillment, goals of being in balance, and goals of just going through life with greater intention and attention. So that's the area in which coaching plays in.
Now, are there different domains of coaching? So is there like executive coaching, life coaching, and stuff like that? And which ones have you trained in? Or
yeah, there's different domains. There's leadership, executive coaching, career and life coaching, health, different subgenres. Myself, I like working with leaders and teams around change leadership, around agency and complex contexts. Yeah, so those are the areas that I bring my experience with, and then I can be there and work with my clients in those areas.
Yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that all those domains really existed and that they were available. So speaking of availability, if a listener or somebody wanted to get in contact with you and experience some coaching, how might they do that?
Yeah, they can reach out to me via email or phone number. Those are things you can provide them.
Okay.
And, we would set up a sample session, very much like how you and I engaged in a 20-minute, conversation.
Okay.
And that's their chance to experience firsthand coaching applied to a goal, that they bring to the table.
Mm.
And then from there, it's to them to decide if coaching is right for them, if the fit's there and how they'd like to proceed.
Mm. So maybe you can share your email and your telephone number right now, and then I'll try to put it on screen for when this goes out.
I sure can. Phone number, it's 604-365-3285.
Okay.
And my email is charles.sim, S-I-M, .gem, J-E-M, .lee, L-E-E, @gmail.com.
Okay. charles.sim.gem.lee @gmail.com.
Yes.
Okay. So Charles, do you think that your email is the best it could be?
It's best for me.
That's awesome. That's what matters. It fulfills your mission. I love it. I like the imagery that it brings up, gems and simulations of futures.
It's an honor to my parents who named me.
It's a beautiful, beautiful name. Mine is Sing 10, by the way, which is really weird. Like on my driver's license says Sing 10. It's like a really poor phoneticization of a Chinese name. But yeah, I do like to sing, and I'm a 10. So, is there anything else you wanted to add? Otherwise, we'll sign off for today.
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you for that experience.
No, I want to thank you for that free coaching session. It's awesome. I'm gonna feed back to you in a few weeks probably how many less meetings I missed. So that'll be a great win. Thank you so much, Charles, for your time, and we'll stay in touch if there's anything else going on.
Absolutely.
Okay. Bye.
Take care, Lawrence.
Bye.